Well, today was fun. Hey guys, internet, fellow gamers and YouTubers, everyone under the above. I'm going to do a pickups video along with a Norwich Gaming Festival insert. But we'll talk about that at the end. We're going to do the recent pickups I got this week. I actually didn't get that many, really, this week. Well, a couple, mainly. Preferably 2 Sega Saturn games, a Wii U game, and I've already done a review of it. So technically, should I show it in a pickups video? Yeah, I think I will. First on the list is Robotica Cybernation Revolt for the Sega Saturn. A first-person shooter of sorts. Well, it is, actually, and it kind of reminds me of Doom. It's kind of good. It's got some repetitive gameplay, though, about running into rooms, turning on light switches, and then continuing. But other than that, it's quite fun. I think when I originally played this when I was younger, around a friend's house, I didn't think much of it. I enjoy it far more now. I feel like I gravitated towards it more now I've picked it up again. This wasn't that much at all. It was £9.89 on eBay. So this is not a breaking the bank title for the Sega Saturn. And it's a good one at that. I can wholeheartedly recommend buying it because it's definitely worth the price I paid for it. Let's just round it up to a tenner. It's definitely worth paying that. It's a good game. It's fun. It's an FPS, and you fight robots. What more could you want, really? But the mechanic of turning on light switches does get kind of boring after a while. So yeah, Robotica Cybernation Revolt. I highly recommend picking that up. Now, this one, I was really happy when I found this one, because this is a really good game. So, growing up in the 90s, you know 3D platformers were the thing. They were the gemstone of video games. Well, you could say this is a 3D platformer. It's more like a 2.5D. It's Pandemonium, and what a great game this is. It's a bit upsetting because it's kind of been overlooked, I guess, as time has gone by. It's a really solid game. The controls are really good, may I add, especially with the Model 1 controller. Excellent. I haven't tested it with the 3D analog controller though, so I don't know if that one will work. But I will test it, and I will update it when I do a full review of it, when I get round to it. But yeah, I definitely recommend picking this up. Again, this doesn't really go for that much either. I did see on eBay it was going for about £19. I didn't buy it on eBay. I bought it off a car boot for £9.50, I think, and I kind of snapped it up because I'd already saw it for £20 on eBay, and I thought that was quite a good price. And it's got that really nice Sega Saturn case, like the clamshell packaging. It's quite nice. Well, I say the clamshell. It's not the same as Robotica, which is in those weird cardboard cases with the plastic. I don't really like these ones. I do like these ones. I don't understand why Sega didn't put them out more in these cases, because these are the good solid plastic ones, which remind me of a slimmed down Mega Drive case. And it comes with everything, you know, complete with these little adverts for new games. I love it. It's beautiful. And the disc is in really good condition as well. So yeah, Pandemonium for the Sega Saturn. I highly recommend picking that game up. Brilliant game. So, for my Wii U title I picked up this week, I haven't opened it yet, or played it yet, may I add. But I have played the game before. It's Darksiders War Mastered Edition. People say the Wii U is dead. There is a new title on it. It's even better. That kind of threw me off when I saw that in the shop, so I was like, hang on a minute, I thought the Wii U wasn't getting any new titles. Walked into game, I saw it on the stand, I was like, having that. If you haven't played Darksiders, I don't know where you've been, because it's an excellent video game. Good hack and slash, so much fun playing as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I highly recommend picking that up. And it's cheap as well. I bought it for, I think it was $19.99, and for a new release I was like, oh, that's kind of good, but then again, I guess it's because the Wii U's been discontinued. So prices are dropping for these everywhere. Like I stated in my Wii U video, a lot of games are very cheap now, so it's now like that sort of time to start picking them up and buying them, and making a big Wii U collection. Kind of begrudge it though a little bit, considering I bought everything more or less brand new for full price. Or at least half my games anyway. Obviously in my Wii U video I was stating how I got a lot of stuff quite cheap, so... Darksiders War Master Edition. I haven't played this edition yet, but I recommend the game. Pick it up on Wii U or PlayStation or Xbox, whichever you prefer. And then obviously my golden grail this week was Puck Monster. I love this thing, I really do. I think it's great. Okay, so the story goes of how I managed to get a hold of this was my friend, or my work colleague, her boyfriend knows a guy who had this, and he's had it since he was basically, well, a lot younger than me, because I'm getting old now, but had it since he was like a sort of teenager, early teens, I think he said. And he's had it since then, kept the box, and because obviously I didn't show it in my video, well, I did show it in my video, but I already took it out the box, but obviously he still has the original polystyrene and everything, so it's all in really good condition, bar this, just this one little bit here flapping around on the back. I don't know if you can see that, I'm making the exposure really high there. But yeah, it's in really good condition. The actual, you know, the LCD screen and everything is in excellent condition. You saw it in my review. Now, I didn't really state how much I bought this for in my review video, because I was waiting for it for my weekly pickups video. Now, like I said in my video, if you're going to buy it with the box and the system, and I guess with the polystyrene holders as well, you're going to set yourself back quite a lot of money, because they, well, the one I saw the most was £250. There was one on there for like 375, and I was like, oh god, that's just getting way too much. That's kind of crazy. And my friend, or my work colleague, she told me that her boyfriend's friend had one for sale. So I was like, oh cool, how much does he want for it? And I was like, please God, they didn't see the eBay listings for these things. He had. And he was like, oh, 250 quid. And I was like, that's a bit steep. So I was like, let me think about it, I'll mull it over. I wasn't going to pay that much. Nowhere near that much. So I had a brief conversation with the Cambridge Computer Museum on, I think it was Twitter I did it on. I just messaged them saying, what do you know of these things and how much would you recommend paying for one? And I had a brief discussion with them about how people were bracking the prices up to like £300, which is like, I don't know, $600. And they were like, oh, that's a bit steep. And I sent them a few print screens of ones I'd seen for like 250, 200, and then like 275, sort of in that range. And they were like, oh, that's way too much. And then I found one without the box or anything within. It was like £35. A lot of them sort of go for that price. They were like, that's kind of a, you know, good price for one without the box. And then I just asked, what would be a good price, you know, with the box? And they just said, maybe about £95, £100. They said, something like that. So I just literally said to my friend, I was like, how about 95 quid? And she asked him and he said, yeah, sure, that's cool. And I got it. And now I have Puck Monster. And I don't regret paying for it. So it's a good thing to have. And like I said in my video, it is a piece of gaming history. These things were inspired by Pac-Man, and I guess everyone and their mothers had them because they held competitions to go to places or winning money, so that's a good thing, and I'm really glad I paid for it, and it's going to go into my archive of game consoles and other such things, because I have a lot of them. I have been collecting for quite some time. Dear God. So, now, on to the thing I started with the video. So, yeah, I had a good day. I went to the Norwich Gaming Festival today in Norwich City, obviously, at the Forum. And basically, they held it for a week this time. I think it was only like a day or a weekend last time I went. They held it for the week this time, and basically what it is they showcase, you know, new games, new developers, indie games, stuff like that. And they had a really cool new VR zone, which was, for those who haven't been to the Forum, it's just like a big glass library. I'll put a picture just here, which I took. And there, if you went down a couple of floors underground, they had like a VR zone where people were playing with like the Oculus Rift and stuff like that. They had market stalls where people were selling games. I'll get into that in a minute. And obviously they had old consoles like, you know, the Atari 2600, the Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Mega Drive, Sega Master System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, I was meant to say. I didn't see a Sega Saturn anywhere, which kind of depressed me. I think I did see a Dreamcast, but a bit like Chris 16-bit in his video, which I'll link below, he mentioned that he felt kind of sketchy, you know, obviously videoing. I felt exactly the same thing, especially because I went by myself. I didn't have, you know, friends to give me that little bit of oomph to film. And I didn't want to be that one sketchy guy filming, because there was a lot of, you know, young kids around and whatnot, so that I felt a bit awkward filming, so I didn't really film anything. I did film a little bit. I sort of had my phone strapped in this like holder thing on my bag strap, and I like pressed record and like walked around for a bit. I'll put that in at the end of the video or something, but it's not very good. I might not even put it in. So if you want to see it, I may put it in, I may not. I'm not sure yet. I'll work it out eventually, I'm guessing. But I mainly went because Stuart Ashen's was there doing a talk. He did a talk last year about his book, Terrible Old Video Games You Probably Never Heard Of. And this year he was doing another talk, and it didn't really have any title on it. It was just called an industry talk. So I kind of went in with a head, you know, thinking, because obviously I've already backed his second book like I backed his first one. I assumed it'd be something about terrible old video games you probably never heard of again. Or more terrible old video games you probably never heard of, you know, his next book. And obviously it wasn't. He came in and literally put a screenshot up called Hair Raiser, probably the worst game ever. And it was quite a long talk. It was about sort of an hour, talking about the art book Masquerade. I'll put a picture in to the side there, and the challenge of finding the golden hair, which Kit Williams had made and buried for the purpose of this book, which had the puzzle in which you had to solve and then find the golden hair. And then someone found it and then used it as collateral to then set up a company called Hairsoft to then release a video game for like every home computer at the time, like the BBC Micro, ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, all those sorts of things. And it was called Hair Raiser Prelude, and it was part 1 of 2 games. And it was like, how he explained it, it was literally a blatant cash grab game where you could you had to find the hair by using clues in the game, or if you didn't want the hair, you could have £30,000. And skip to the end, penultimately, it was all like a fraudulent thing, and this guy who had found the hair had only found it by like speaking with Kit Williams's ex-girlfriend, her saying it was buried, you know, she thinks it was buried at this place. He went, and someone who previously already worked out the puzzle from the book originally had dug up, like, not precisely on it, but near it, so he dug it up and then obviously found it. And then that's how he set up Hairsoft. That's pretty much a skimped version. I will put a link to the Wikipedia page in the video description down below. I do know there is already a tab there with it all on. I've already done my research to make sure I had it covered for this video. So yeah, that was a really interesting talk about something I'd never heard of, and it is literally the worst game I've ever seen in my life because you don't do anything. How it was displayed is static screens with trees and sky and clouds and sun and a little bit of grass, and sometimes it will have text, some other times it will have the hair jump through and then disappear. Then it just seems all a bit muck and fuddled, and kind of, it seemed like a lie, if I'm honest, because it didn't look real. It just looked like a blatant cash grab thing. And that was really interesting, and I have met Stuart several times. I've met him I think about 4 times, and he recognised me again this year, and we had a good chat about the taxman and how he wasn't marking down selling his items of clothing and badges, and his Ashen's groat as well, and the taxman would come reaping for him if he didn't mark it down. We had a good chat about, well, I'm not wearing the jacket now because I've swapped jackets, but I have a jacket with a Hand of the King pendant on the top, and he recognised me and he was like, Hand of the King, I remember you from last year, and probably the year before. And I said, yeah, we have met a few times. Shame we can't get on first name terms with that. That'd be fantastic. But skip to the end. Yeah, we had a really good chat about video games. I asked him about his new book, because obviously I have backed it. I didn't mention that. I was like, I have backed it, and spent quite a bit of money on that backing, I must say. So could you tell me, would there be a book tour? And then obviously I can come again. And he was like, oh yeah, there'll definitely be a book tour. And I said, would it be at W.H. Smith? Because on his first book tour, that's where he went, near the Castle Mall, or Mall, however you want to say it. And I met him there, and he didn't do it. He's not going to do it there because he explained it how they want to push out a load of books at one time, and apparently it's too costly to go to big bookshops like that and do them there. So he said it might be just like the local geek shop, and so he said the TV and movie memorabilia shop, which is just outside the Forum. And then I joked, I said, oh yeah, because it's the only one in Norwich now, and then I completely drew a blank on what I was saying. I think it was called Outer Limits now, but when I was talking to him, I said, oh yeah, that one which was near the marketplace, which is now no longer there, and he was like, I know which one you mean. And we both kind of stood there like, I can't remember the name. Neither of us could remember, but we knew what we was talking about. It was like, yeah, the one near the marketplace, near where I think it was Rock Collection, but I think they've shut down now, or defunct, I'm not 100% sure. Was, well, down that way. And we had a photo. It was kind of funny because he was like, do you want me to sign anything? I was like, I actually don't have anything of your, for you to sign. You've signed both copies of your book, rather, and you've also signed my copy of 50,000 Shades of Grey, you've signed my DVD, you've signed my Blu-ray. I don't really have anything else. And I was like, the only thing I have is my ticket for the industry talk, which my friend kindly had put in a frame for me, because he's a really nice guy like that. So if you want to look at that and see my name on there. I did actually point out, I will put this on the side now, because I'm on the page of excellence for his film. When he was reading out the names of the backers, he read my last name wrong. So did Enigmatic Sigh. I will now play the clip.
Edward Gizzy.
He said my name wrong, and I don't mind. I don't mind at all. No one can ever say my last name right. It's kind of a burden or a curse. I'm not 100% sure which one. But I will not correct anyone. I will not say the correct way to say it, because I like having a Shroud of Mystery on that. So, skip to the end. Yeah, it was really nice seeing Ashen's again. Lovely man. So that was Norwich Gaming Festival to an extent. Now we're going to get on to the things I bought, because obviously I did meet Ashen's, had a really good chat with him. And that was sort of it. I kind of wandered around for most of the day, just having a look, and then I kind of wandered into the Marquee tent, and a lot of the prices of things in there are quite high, so I wasn't 100% sure. But I did buy a few things being, hang on a minute, how many have I got down there? 1, 2, 3, about 5 things, 6 things, because the first thing I bought was Sonic. And I don't know why, I was kind of drawn to him. He was only, I think it was $3.99, and I didn't have a plush Sonic, so I thought, I'm going to buy him, and he can live on my Sega Saturn over there. So that was my first buy. Something pretty pointless, if I'm honest. But we're going to get into the main thing that's down here. First thing I bought that day for £7 was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, I think everyone and their mothers has this game, and the only reason I rebought it is because my original cartridge broke. Well, in actual fact, I just thought I had to clean the contacts, because that's what I always do first. If something just doesn't work, I clean the contacts. Still didn't work. I actually took it apart. I unpopped the cartridge, and the actual chip inside had a big black stain on it, so I'm assuming it just killed itself. So I bought this again for £7. It's an excellent side-scrolling game. I think everyone should play this game. But like I said, everyone and their mother usually has this game, so you've probably already played it, and you'll know how good it is. So I don't even really need to recommend it, because you should already have it, and if you don't, I do recommend it, and you should go get a copy, because it's excellent. And then moving around the sort of marquee tent, I did see some other things, and I already had this game, effectively, but similar to that of Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, it gave up on life. I bought Golden Axe, again, another great Sega game. I also got the sequel. It was, well, they were £6 each, and I said I'd give him a tenner for the 2, and he agreed, so I got Golden Axe 2 as well as 1. I try to get the exposure down. Brilliant games. Fantastic. I think I actually preferred Golden Axe 2 over Golden Axe 1 when I was younger. I can't really remember. I always felt like Golden Axe 2 was better, and Golden Axe 1 was a little bit clunky. May have to go back and play them all again. I do own them on the, the Virtual Console on my 3DS as well, so they've all been a bit updated for that. Now, I did buy this as well. They were well, on one side, like, games were really high priced, and on the other side, some games were really cheap. And I expected this to be quite a lot of money, because obviously it is a very, sort of popular game. with near enough everyone. And I saw it straight away, it caught my eye, and I was like, I don't actually have that on that console anymore, because originally I sold my copy because I needed money at the time at that point in my life, I needed the money. And so I rebought it for £20, maybe a bit steep, I don't know. I think it's my love for the game that mainly made me buy it, which is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And it comes complete as well. It has everything in it. It has the inlay. Oh, but it's all a bit ripped. It's a bit upsetting. Obviously, these things happen with time. I remember when this game was new out. God. So yeah, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I should have really took that out of there, shouldn't I? Come here. Come hither. I'll put this down because this is falling to pieces. But yeah, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It's so heavy. I love it. I miss cartridges so much. And it is complete to the point where we have our Nintendo 64 manual, we have the game manual, and... Oh, sugar. There is... Well... I was then going to say it's a receipt, but it's not. And I remember filling one of these out. You can sign this and get your Nintendo registration card. I remember doing that when this game came out. The Games Limited, P.O. Box 903, Bristol, BS995ND. I remember doing that when I was little. At first I thought it was a receipt because I only kind of saw this bit, so I thought it was like a bit of a receipt, and then I clicked as soon as I flipped it over. I was like, oh my god, I had that when I was younger, and I also sent off for that card. I'm that sad. But now getting on to the last thing, which I love these things coming in. It reminds me of my youth. We have this. I love these things when they come complete. It's beautiful. The Game Boy, and then you flip it round, and we have the Nintendo 64 lineup. Oh, it's glorious! Look at all these great games. Banjo-Kazooie, one of my personal favourites. We have Yoshi's Story. We have Super Mario 64, GoldenEye 007. What a game! Glover. Oh my god, Glover was such a good game. I have that up on my shelf. That's a really good game. We have Lilac Wars, also known as Star Fox 64. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, obviously. I'm only reading out the ones which I care about. Diddy Kong Racing, that's a good game. Mario Kart 64, brilliant. What else? Star Wars Rogue Squadron. That's a great game. So yeah, I picked up Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for £20, and I was quite surprised that I got all those bits with it, and it was for that price. I thought they'd have tried to rack it up a little bit, because when I look on eBay to get like a complete box copy of this, people, skyrocket the price not on purpose, I guess. I know people are trying to make money, but I feel like sometimes it's a bit overpriced. But I was really chuffed with that, if I'm honest, and I am still chuffed with it now. So hang on, let's try and get everything back in without destroying it. Come on. Come on. Here you go. You know you want to. Please no. There we go. We're in. I think. Oh god. What is going on here? Oh wait, I'll go that way. Please just... Okay. You know what? I'm just not. Because I'll end up breaking it or something. Or ripping the box and then I'll be very upset. So, we are down to literally the last thing I bought now. Now, I spotted this on my way out of the tent, and it was sat there looking at me, and I remember seeing it in CEX for like £70, something like that, and I was like, I can't justify paying that, and I can't justify paying nearly £200 for it on eBay. They had it in there for £30. I will cover this just so you can see that, but you can probably already see what it is. It is Shenmue for the Dreamcast, one of my all-time favourite games. I used to own this, and then my disc sort of, I played it way too much, clearly, because it just wouldn't read anymore. Either that or my Dreamcast was being a bit of a jerk, but that still works, so I think it probably was the disc. But yeah, Shenmue is the prime example as to why Sega was so good at making games, because their attention to detail in this game was fantastic. I really want the IP renewed. I want a HD remake or something. I would just give me a new Dreamcast with a new Shenmue game and I'll be so happy. It's such a good game. I highly recommend buying it. I don't even care. It's such a good game. Just don't play something ridiculous for it. I think £30 was justified, personally. Not £70, not like the ridiculous eBay prices that they're giving to you. But definitely pick up Shenmue for the Dreamcast. It's fantastic. So now we're out of everything. And that was that. I will put my my picture with Ashen's at the end of the video. And I will link everything below as I said I would. And as for that, for this video, that is it. And I will see you. Actually, no, I won't. I will say this. Like, comment, subscribe, and then I will see you all in the next video. Bye!
What could possibly go wrong?